There comes a time in a man's life, not at 18, not at 25, sometimes not even at 30, when he finally feels the weight of his own existence settle onto his shoulders. Not the loud weight of ambition or the naive chase for recognition, but the quiet, unmoving truth of what life really is when the noise fades and the expectations of others fall silent. For many men, that moment arrives after 40, a decade marked by losses, lessons, and realizations, a decade where illusions die and clarity grows in their place. And in that quiet clarity, a man begins to see something he was never taught to notice. The desire to be loved, the desire to belong, has been the chain around his neck the entire time. We were raised on the promise that love gives life meaning, that marriage completes a man, that partnership stabilizes him, that being alone is a failure. But when you look at the world with mature eyes that have seen betrayal, responsibility, sacrifice, disappointment, you begin to question everything society told you. You see men drained, not strengthened, by relationships. You see men shrinking, not expanding, inside the walls of marriage. You see men losing their fire, their focus, their natural rhythm, in the name of a love they were told would save them. And then you notice something else, something nearly forbidden to speak aloud. Some men become far more powerful the moment they step into solitude, not because they hate love, not because they fear commitment, but because they finally understand the cost of tying their identity to someone else. A man who chooses solitude does not do so out of bitterness. He does so out of awareness. The older he gets, the more he recognizes that peace is not a luxury. It is survival, and nothing steals a man's peace faster than dependency disguised as love. When you are young, you think love is an adventure. In your 30s, you think it is stability. But in your 40s, after the dust of life has settled, you begin to see love for what it often becomes. A negotiation of your time, your energy, your finances, your dreams, and your emotional bandwidth. Men were told that giving everything is noble, but a man over 40 knows the truth. Giving everything is how men disappear. There is a unique kind of suffering that only men experience, a silent erosion of the self. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, it's not cinematic. It happens quietly. It happens when a man starts bending himself to keep peace in a relationship. It happens when he sacrifices his ambition to maintain harmony at home. It happens when he becomes the emotional anchor for a woman who will never understand the weight he carries. And little by little, he becomes less of a man and more of a resource, not out of malice on her part, but out of conditioning on both sides. A man becomes a provider, a protector, a problem solver, everyone's rock. But who protects him? Who gives him shelter from the storms that tear at his mind? Who notices when he's sinking? Very few. This is why solitude, true solitude, becomes sacred. For the first time in his life, the man who chooses solitude discovers something he never had: the ability to breathe without needing permission, the ability to think without needing approval, the ability to act without needing justification. He becomes sovereign. He no longer measures his worth through someone else's emotions. He is no longer negotiating his peace in exchange for temporary affection. He is no longer explaining his goals or defending his ambitions. He simply moves. And with each quiet morning he wakes alone, with each decision he makes freely, he realizes something profound. This is what it feels like to belong to yourself. For decades he believed companionship was completion, but solitude reveals a deeper truth. Completion was never external. It was internal, buried beneath layers of conditioning, obligation, expectation. Men are not incomplete without a partner. Men are incomplete without purpose. Purpose does not demand approval. Purpose asks nothing of you except discipline and clarity. You do not have to negotiate purpose. You do not have to soften yourself for purpose. Purpose does not roll its eyes, question your value, or walk away when you're exhausted. Purpose grows the more you invest in it. Relationships, on the other hand, often demand more than they give. A man in solitude is not avoiding love. He is protecting the space required for meaning. He is no longer seeking a woman to inspire him. He inspires himself through mastery. He is no longer chasing the rush of romance. He chases the quiet power of self-respect. He's no longer scared of being alone. He's scared of losing himself again. That is the real transformation. When a man finally understands solitude, he becomes something rare in the modern world. Self-sufficient, self-directed, self-governed. And from that independence comes a strength few men ever reach. He no longer reacts to life emotionally. He observes it. He evaluates it. He moves with precision rather than desperation. This is Stoicism in its most practical form. Not coldness, but clarity. Not apathy, but control. Not emotional suppression, but emotional mastery. A man who chooses solitude learns to quiet the storm inside himself. He eats with intention. He trains with discipline. He works with focus. He rests with dignity. He lives by his own code. There is no drama in his home, no tension in his chest, no emotional chaos orbiting his life. He creates order, and within that order he finds something he never had in relationships: consistency. The older you get, the more you crave consistency over excitement. Excitement fades. Consistency builds empires. Excitement burns fast. Consistency burns forever. The world tells men that partnership makes them whole. Experience teaches men that partnership often breaks them before it builds them. Not always, but often enough to be cautious. Men over 40 have seen the consequences: the divorce that wipes out half a lifetime of savings, the custody battle that drains the soul, the emotional volatility that destroys health, the quiet resentment that kills joy, the compromise that becomes self-erasure, the woman who changes while he stays loyal, the man who stays loyal while losing himself. So what does solitude offer in return? Sanity, control, focus, health, freedom, and a deeper kind of a love, the love you give yourself when no one is demanding it from you. The ironic truth is this: only a man who has mastered solitude is capable of healthy connection. Why? Because he no longer needs love. He can choose it. He can walk toward it without fear. He can walk away from it without collapse. This makes him powerful, not dominating, not controlling, just grounded, rooted, clear. He isn't impressed by beauty alone. He isn't manipulated by emotion. He isn't seduced by loneliness. He isn't desperate for validation. He approaches relationships differently. He evaluates compatibility before chemistry. He chooses peace over passion. He prioritizes purpose over pleasure. He becomes a man. A woman cannot shake, guilt, or bend, because he has already built a life inside himself that no one can take. This is the essence of male sovereignty: the capacity to remain whole in the presence of others, the ability to stand alone without fear, the strength to protect your peace at all costs. And that is why solitude, for the mature man, is not emptiness. It is enlightenment. It is the quiet arena where he meets himself fully, without distraction, without compromise, without illusion. It is where he learns the deepest truth a man can learn. You do not become powerful by being loved. You become powerful by not needing to be. And when you finally reach that state, when your identity no longer depends on affection, approval, or attention, you experience a kind of freedom most men never taste, a freedom that turns your silence into strength, your discipline into direction, your solitude into sovereignty. Some men live their whole lives as prisoners of longing. Others choose another path, the path of the sovereign man, the man who belongs to himself. And once you belong to yourself, no one, no heartbreak, no rejection, no betrayal can ever take you away from you again. That is the final freedom. And that is why solitude is not the absence of love. It is the presence of power.